Okay. Good morning, everyone who's there. I'm Madison from Kern County Job Fest, and today with me I have Beth from Hall Ambulance.
Good morning, everyone.
And we want to talk to you a little bit about the EMT Academy that's coming up. So let's get right to it. Beth, I want to ask you a little bit about you first. So, why did you decide to work at Hall, and what made you work there, and how long have you been there?
Sure. Thanks, Madison. I'm very excited to be joining you today and talking with all of our viewers. I joined Hall Ambulance about 1.5 years ago. I transitioned. I work in human resources, so I'm not out in the field, but I moved over here from manufacturing, actually. So I've been able to learn the medical industry, and I took the job because I know that Hall has such a wonderful reputation in the community as far as how much they serve the community and all of the extra things they do for the people of Kern County. I just thought that was amazing. And I've enjoyed the opportunity to be able to support the people that are out in the field every day, doing the really hard work of caring for those who are in distress. So I really love it here. I love that opportunity to help others, even if I'm not necessarily the one that's physically out there. I love helping people and helping our EMTs and paramedics.
That is so cool. I love hearing that. That's cool. I like that you say like you're not out in the field necessarily, but you're supporting the people who are out in the field. So that's pretty cool. So we're gonna get to the academy information in a minute, but before we do, like, what is an EMT? What does an EMT do? What does the day look like for what is EMT?
That's a great question. So an EMT stands for Emergency Medical Technician. So you would be a medical technician and out on an ambulance every day for several hours every day. So you're basically our ambulances are like a mobile little ER type unit, first aid unit. So you would be responding to 911 calls out in the community. And also our EMTs do a lot of transporting people from one facility to another. Like if someone has a fall at a skilled nursing facility and they need to go to the hospital to be checked out, you might transport them. You might also transport someone to their dialysis appointment from home or from their facility that they're at. Or if someone is moving from the hospital to a rehabilitation facility, you might transport them as well. So transportation is a huge part of the job. Our EMTs start out with 2 EMTs on an ambulance unit, and usually they take turns. All day, one day, one person is driving and the other person is providing the care. So they're in the back of the unit with the patient. And then the next day they'll switch and that other person will drive for the day and the other will provide care for the patient. Our EMTs, a typical call would be you arrive on scene, you're going to talk to whoever's there, if someone else is there, like family members or like a nurse if it's at a facility. But mostly you're going to be talking to the patient and doing a medical assessment on the patient. It's a quick assessment, but you want to get an understanding of their physical state. And then you're going to make a decision on what to do. Do we need to transport them? Do we need to provide a little care right here on scene before we transport them? And then you would load them onto the gurney and put the gurney in the back of the ambulance. And if you're the one providing care, you're going to ride with them in the back and just monitor their status that whole time. And when you arrive at the hospital or whatever facility you're arriving at, you're going to give the report to the nurse or the doctor or whoever is receiving that patient about, what is their status, what's happening with this patient. So you tell them and then you hand over care. So you're providing a lot of care, and often it is just as much of a communication and talking to the patient as it is like the medical side of things and the medical care, because I mean, if you're going to be transported in an ambulance, you're going to want that like verbal reassurance and someone to just talk to you, even to distract you. So our EMTs really do a lot of talking to the patients. I mean, that's a big part of the job as well.
It makes sense. I was going to say, so it sounds like communication would be really important for someone who's an EMT. And then you also mentioned transportation, which makes me think that they must need to have a driver's license. So what other requirements before you enter the academy would you need to have marked off of your checklist, let's say? So you have communication and then driver's license, I'm assuming. And then what else would you need before you apply?
Yeah, we want you to have a driver's license. We usually want you to have been driving for around 12 months prior to, just so you know you have experience driving, because the ambulance is a big vehicle to drive around. And you don't have to know your way around town too much, because we have like really fancy mapping systems and programs and awesome dispatchers that help you find your way. But you do have to have some experience driving. For the academy, you also have to have either a high school diploma or GED, but you don't have to have any other college. This would be actually a college class that you would be going through for the academy, but you don't have to have any prerequisites. And other than that, your driving record does need to have like maybe only 1 or 2 points on it. Like you probably have a speeding ticket and an accident and you'd be okay.
Right.
But it can't have like a long list of points on the driver's record. But other than that, that is all you need to apply for the job.
So there's no age requirement, it sounds like. So you could,
I apologize. There is an age requirement as well.
is it 21?
It's 20.
20. Okay, so that's good.
You just have to be turning 20 by the time the academy starts on June 15th.
Oh, okay. So the academy starts on June 15th. And then when is the last day to apply?
The last day to apply is actually April 30th, which is in 4 days. 4 days.
Okay, so in 4 days is the last day to apply, and then the academy starts on June 15th. So when you're in the academy, how long is it? And is it free, or do I get paid, or how does that work?
The academy is free. There is no tuition for the academy. Your books are covered. Hall Ambulance provides your uniforms, and pretty much all you would have to be responsible for would be your shoes, because we don't provide those, but there's even some assistance like from the job center occasionally for things like that. So all you have to pay for is your shoes, and you're actually paid while you're in academy. So you're hired with Hall Ambulance from day one of the academy. So you're an employee of Hall, but you're paid to sit in class and to learn. So the class is actually 6 weeks long. So this is an EMT course. There are EMT courses offered at community colleges like Bakersfield College or Taft College, but they usually last at least a semester. And this course with us is condensed into 6 weeks. So you're in class for 6 weeks and learning how to be an EMT. After that, we provide assistance with helping you to study for your national registry exam, which is like a national exam that would certify you to be an EMT. You're paid to sit and study for that as well. And then you would go through like Hall Ambulance orientation, and then you'd be paired up with a field trainer. And your field trainer is another EMT that you would be placed with that's going to show you the ropes in the day-to-day. Like, how do I actually do this job? Like, I learned all of these things, but how do I put it into practice? And that's what your field trainer is going to do. They're going to teach you and show you, and then have you do some of those tasks and give you some feedback, so that towards the end of the 3 weeks, the idea is that you would be actually doing all of the tasks while the EMT is observing and providing some feedback to you. So it's a transition of duties until you're like really ready to be an EMT on your own shift.
So it would be 6 weeks kind of in the class, 3 weeks kind of hands-on, and then
there's a
put
few
you
more
out of the nest a little bit.
Some other Hall type learning. So overall, it's about 12 weeks before you're on your own shift.
And is it Monday through Friday? Would that be the first 6 weeks?
The first 10 weeks are actually Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And then, yeah, it's not a bad deal. And then once
And
you,
what is the hourly salary? I know you said they get paid to learn, which is amazing. What
Yeah.
how much is it? How much is
the pay is $14 an hour while you're in class until you pass your national registry exam. And then it goes up to your entry level EMT rate, which once you're on 12-hour shifts, the rate is $14.98 per hour. But you're working 12-hour shifts and you make overtime after 8 hours in each shift. So if you're used to working a Monday through Friday, like a normal type of work schedule, it's the equivalent of getting paid around $18 an hour as far as what you make week to week. So once you're on your field training and on your own shift, then it's 12-hour shifts, and our EMTs work 3 days one week and 4 days the next week. So you work 7 out of 14 days. So there's a lot of extra time to attend to whatever else you have going on in life, or maybe you have hobbies like hiking and you like to do that often. So there's a little more work-life balance there. Or we have overtime shifts. If you like to work hard, there's a lot of opportunity for that as well. If you like to work extra, I should say.
when you said that an entry level EMT starts at a certain salary, that makes me think that there might be more than an entry level EMT. So after you're there for a long time and you gain experience, is that an opportunity to grow?
Yeah, there's definitely room for growth as far as your skills and your pay. So we do review pay on a regular basis and try to provide those increases that are somewhat looking at performance and your skills and all of that, but your pay would definitely increase over time. And we also have other opportunities long-term with Hall Ambulance. We have a paramedic program that's sponsored similar to the EMT Academy that you would be paid to attend. And that's really amazing as well, because that's a longer program typically to become a paramedic. So there's a lot of internal advancement opportunities.
Wow, that sounds too good to be true. So when you say that we talked about the requirements, but what would be like your ideal candidate? Like, what would you guys be looking for besides someone, like you said, that is good at communication and driver's licenses? What would be a good candidate for you guys?
Yeah. Well, you have to like people, right, to work for a Hall Ambulance. If you don't really like people, this job's not for you. But you have to enjoy people and spending time with them and communicating, like we talked about. You have to have some interest in the medical field, so you can't be super squeamish about blood or things like that, because you will encounter all of those things. We're looking for someone that's decisive, because once you get on scene, things move really fast. Our EMTs also respond to 911 calls. So if they're the closest unit to a cardiac arrest, let's say, and the paramedic unit is a long ways out, they're going to respond and they're going to do CPR and take care of that patient that's in cardiac arrest. So you have to be decisive and really be able to make decisions and move quickly once you're on scene. We're also looking for people that are resilient. This is a challenging job, and you encounter a lot of things that happen out in the community. So we need people that are able to really care for our patients and be able to still do the job afterwards. It can be a challenging job as well. And we're looking for people that are prompt and responsible, and that really just want to do a good job and that are hard workers.
That makes sense. Before I ask you the next thing I want to ask you, I just want to tell anyone who's watching that we do have somebody that's monitoring any questions. So hopefully if you have any questions, Beth or I will go in there and answer any questions you might have. We're not ignoring you. We're just talking, but your questions will be answered. I promise. So one of the last things I wanted to ask you, Beth, sorry, was how many people do you guys hire? Is this like one person's going to be selected out of 300, or how many do you guys select, or how many vacancies do you have? How big is your class?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do get a lot of applications. Our class size for this academy, they've actually told me they would take up to 30. So that's a large class size. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Our previous class, partly because it was in the thick of the pandemic, we had limited to 10 spots because of spacing requirements and all of that. But this time we have more room, and we'd like to take up to 30 people. So that's a really great opportunity. After you apply, there's a pretty thorough qualification process. We have like a information session that's an orientation. So you'd hear some of the same things you're hearing from me, but a lot more in depth. You'd hear from one of our paramedics, and just make sure the job is really for you. We do have some testing. So there's math and English testing that you would have to do. And then we also would do a couple of interviews, and also after you got an offer, there's a physical, drug screen, background check, all of that. But with the physical, you would have to be able to lift 75 pounds consistently. So that's heavy. But if you think about going in and lifting patients, just anyone in the population, you could end up trying to maneuver them onto a gurney or something like that. So you have to be in good enough shape to be able to lift that much. That's a big part of the job as well. So it's a very physical job. You're out and about in the community all day. You're working with patients. And we always think of patients being in like one place, right? Like, oh, you just knock on the door and they're right there. But patients can really be found anywhere. You know, you can find a patient in the back of a grocery store. A patient could be at a park, or they could be down by the river. Like, there's a lot of places that we find our patients. So we really require some physical shape to be able to access them. So there's quite a thorough qualification process. But in the long run, we would take up to 30 people. So we have a lot of spots available. So I really encourage people to just apply. And that's another thing too. People might be thinking, well, I don't know if this is the right job for me. Like, it sounds kind of intense, or I'm just not really sure if it's the right fit. But the application doesn't mean you're fully committed. That's why we do the informational orientation later on, is so that you can learn more about it and see if it really is a good fit for you or not.
So when, let's say I apply tomorrow, before I'm accepted into the academy, is that when I would do the math and English and the other testing before I join the academy? Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Because it's such an accelerated course, like I mentioned, we pack that semester long course into 6 weeks, and there's homework in the evenings. Like, there's a lot to learn. So we do some testing just to make sure that the candidate could keep up and do well in the class, because we really want to set people up for success.
That makes perfect sense. You know, I don't know what made me think of this, but does Hall Ambulance service all of Kern County or parts of Kern County, or just Bakersfield?
Great question. So Hall Ambulance started in 1971 with one ambulance and a loan from Mr. Harvey Hall. So we now have grown to where we service close to 90% of Kern County. So the only areas that our ambulances don't service would be like Delano, Ridgecrest, and Lake Isabella areas. There's different ambulance companies that work there. But we also have a dispatching team, and our dispatchers are dispatching for the whole county. So that's pretty cool too. Yeah, so they get to see and hear a lot as well when they're dispatching our ambulances. So it's another great job with Hall. But yeah, we serve a lot of the county. It's kind of set up differently. So when you start out, you'd be serving Metro Bakersfield, Arvin, and Lamont. That's all kind of like, you would come to downtown Bakersfield, take your unit out for the day. If there's no calls coming in, you have like places that you post, like a street corner posting. So you just kind of hang out in your ambulance there until you get a call. But we are a busy system, so it doesn't always happen. So you're working 12-hour shifts there. We also have future opportunity for our EMTs and paramedics if they want a different type of shift schedule, or to practice more rural medicine, that they could move out to one of our other communities where we have stations. So we have stations in pretty much all of the smaller surrounding towns and cities. So like Wasco, Lost Hills, Taft, Fraser Park, Tehachapi, Mojave, Rosamond, all of those types of areas. We have stations and they work more like a 48-hour shift schedule. So that's a nice schedule as well in the future if that's an interest that our candidates have.
That sounds awesome. So I was thinking like if I lived on the outs, like in a different town, eventually possibly I could be stationed in my hometown, so I wouldn't have to come to the hub every single day. So when did the 12-hour shifts, do they kind of stagger, or is it like 7 to 7, 7 to 7, or how does that work?
That's a great question. So the 12-hour shifts, they do stagger. So I think the earliest they start in the morning is probably like 5 a.m. And then the latest they start in the evening would be 7 p.m. So you would start like at any time of the day. So we do have people that work the night shift as well. And that's essentially because you don't want all of your ambulances coming back to downtown Bakersfield at once, because then no one's out on the street.
Right.
So we kind of feed people in and out all day to maintain our coverage. So your 12-hour shifts could start at any time of the day, or you could work the night shift as well. But you would have a predictable schedule. So you would know like, oh, okay, I always work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and every other Wednesday or something like that. So you'd be able to look and say, oh, okay, August 15th, I'm going to be able to plan a 3-day vacation or something. So it's a predictable schedule, but yeah, we work 24/7 and cover most of the county. So we work hard.
Well, you got there to help people. So the final question I have for you, which might be the most important question, is how do you apply?
Great question. You would apply from our website. There's a job, the first page of our website, it lists job opportunities. So our website is hallamb.com. AMB is short for ambulance. So HALLAMB.com. And under job opportunities, it says Hall EMT Academy. So it's the EMT Academy that you'd want to apply for, and just click on that and it'll take you through the application process. And then a big thing is to make sure that they watch their email, because whatever email address you apply under, that's how we'll communicate, at least at the very beginning. So that's an important piece as well after you finish your application.
Okay, so I'll write that in the comments, but it's hallamb.com.
Yep.
And that's where you can find the EMT Academy and fill out the application, and make sure you watch your email and put a valid email address when you apply.
Yes.
Well, that's fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today about the EMT Academy, and I hope you guys get tons of applicants, and I'm sure that you'll have no problem doing that.
Awesome. Thank you, Madison. I really appreciate your having us on here, and hope everyone has a great Tuesday.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.